Garden Report is brought to you by Prize Picks and the Game Time app.
Hey, Buddy Manning here. Welcome to the Garden Report. After the Celtics fall just short, Warriors turning around late and beat the Celtics. And the biggest challenge that both Jayson Tatum and Boston has faced to start this season. Great effort from the Warriors defending Tatum early in what was supposed to be that revenge game against Steve Kerr, Tatum versus Kerr, if you want to call it that. And you had Kerr talking about it a little before the game. Tatum not talking about it too much later. But in between, an interesting battle between Tatum, who started 0-4, and a Warriors defense that held him off balance. He recovered pretty well by the end of the night, finished 10 of 20, but coaxed into a rough decision down 4 with about a minute left to take that mid-ranger there. Warriors score the other way, maybe an assignment he should have had there on Hield, and that ended up sealing the game with a 7-point advantage late.
Yeah, I mean, this was a tough start for Tatum. I feel like we always talk about other teams, doubling him and how we feel like it actually helps the Celtics, and it's almost like this puzzling thing of why are they continuing to double. Today you saw that when it works, that was the double working at its best in that first quarter, and then obviously he responded, finished with 32 points on 10 of 20 shooting, so started 0-4. That's 10 of his last 16 shots that he made, and a lot of tough threes. Shot looked good tonight. But yeah, it was hard because he was carrying a lot of the offense, not single-handedly, but missing two key pieces in Jaylen Brown and Kristaps Porzingis. And you don't feel it versus the Hawks, versus the Hornets, but tonight you felt their absence. But still quite an impressive, I think, all-around performance from Tatum despite the loss.
Yeah, and a lot of respect on the Warriors side too, but the backdrop of the game, Curry's decision to bench Tatum in key spots, he talked about it before the game, and then Tatum touched on it later. Here's what they had to say about that situation.
Yeah, I didn't enjoy, not playing Jayson against Serbia, not playing Joel against South Sudan. Those are not fun decisions, but our guys were all amazing. They committed to each other. They committed to winning the gold medal. They brought the gold home for their country. They all handled themselves with incredible dignity and class, and that's the real story. But we live in a time where, we have to talk about stuff that actually doesn't really matter.
One thing about Jayson is, I'm always going to do what the fuck I want to do and approach things how I want to approach it and what I feel is sincere to who I am as a person. And not that it come from a bad place. Some people, sometimes it come from a good place. And, but people react differently, or it's easy to say, if they were in my shoes, what they would do. So, I appreciate when it comes from a good place, but like I said, I'm always going to react, respond, approach things the way I want to.
So what do you feel about Tatum's response to it? Kerr obviously showing him some respect before the game and explaining something he's done a few times, which is how difficult that was to not only bench him, but he threw Embiid in there too.
Yeah, I like that he threw Embiid in there, but I love Tatum's post-game today. Tatum a lot of times doesn't give us much post-game. He's polished, and the decision to say more today was intentional. It wasn't like he went off script. But I think he touched on something that we've talked about before, and that's that people want him to be a certain way. They want him to be like the Jaylen Brown fiery personality. They want him to go out and say something about Grant Williams or say something about, the critics, and he's just not going to. And today he said that, we basically have no idea how he actually feels about the Olympics thing because he's not going to externally be angry. It's not his style. And he made it very clear there. And I like that he said that because I feel like people are frustrated by who he's not, and who he is a guy that's been remarkably successful in his NBA career. So the way that he approaches the game and the way that he processes adversity, it works for him. And so even if it's not the most fun for people who want to see all the fan, all the drama and all the rivalries and whatever else it is, he made very clear that it's who he is and he's not going to change. And you kind of better accept him.
Internally, though, I think he's carried it. And is it the reason he's starting this year so great? Who knows? I don't know what factor that played into it. But I do think it stood out earlier today at shoot-around. I asked Draymond what he thought of Tatum's start, and he said motivated. And that's the word we threw around a lot going into the season, right? Extra motivation, the snub. That's something that he can use to improve going into this year. And I asked Kerr again later if he's seen Tatum improve, and he's like, he scored 44 against us 4 years ago. And he was great even then. But there is that sense, not only from, I think, different reports of people close to him, but Draymond, a guy who's close to him today, saying motivated. I don't think that was any coincidence. So is it the reason he's starting this year so great? That's tough to attribute, but I don't think there's any doubt, regardless of what he said today, that hit him. Like, especially that quote where he was like, 2K cover, champion, blah, 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 to sitting on the bench. That's tough.
No, absolutely. I mean, it was like, I don't want to say embarrassing because I don't find it embarrassing.
I think it was embarrassing.
It turned into a spectacle.
Yeah.
It turned into the U.S. Olympic team is winning games, and every day you open your computer or you turn on the TV, and it's literally Tatum is benched, and here's a zoom in on his face on the bench. So it was a lot to deal with, certainly. And he made clear that it impacted him. My point is, though, I don't think he feels like the screw Steve Kerr, like, I'm going to go off for 50 versus the Warriors to show them. He's never going to be the guy that tries to go off for 50 to prove a point. Like, that's more what I mean. Like, people wanted him to go off for 50 against Grant Williams, and it's like, he's still going to make the pass. He's still going to do the things that he does. And so motivated, certainly. I think he always is motivated. Did he have extra motivation? Like, maybe you become, we've seen plenty of people win the championship and then take it a little bit easier over the summer. That's normal human instinct. He certainly didn't do that. And maybe he would have without the Olympics. We don't know. It's kind of just speculation at this point. But I do think that he doesn't have that thing about him of like, I'm going to go and show them and score 50. Like, he's just going to play the right way. That's been his consistent message.
Yeah, and that's fitting tonight. Didn't try to take over or send a message or do any of that tonight. I thought he played a pretty steady game and worked the Celtics back into it midway. Some great stuff in the third quarter, but the offense clogs up and a few defensive mistakes cost the Celtics. And a pretty good game for Tatum without Brown, without Porzingis here. Warriors stressing that after the game, that although it was a good moment for them, this wasn't the full-strength Celtics. So an interesting spot start, an exciting one at that from Nemesh Keita. We'll talk about that in our other video here. Check out Prize Picks. Use code CLNS to get a bonus when you play your first lineup over there. Check out Game Time. Big game here on Friday against the Nets, right?
The Nets have been pretty good this year. Better than most of the East.
It's a little step down, but that makes it easier getting the house. So check out Game Time if you want to come to the game on Friday. Use code CLNS for $20 off if terms apply over there. And check out the Built app over there, website. Go check out what they're offering over there. For Noah Dalzell, I'm Bobby Manning. Check out her work over on You Got Boston, the podcast, as well as SB Nation, and everything we have here at CLNS Media and Celtics All Access. Warriors beat the Celtics, just the second loss of the season for Boston. They're back here on Friday. Hey, Bobby Manning here. If you made it this far, you probably enjoyed this video, so subscribe, turn on notifications, and check out our social media platforms at Celtics CLNS.